I want to marry you. A simple promise of love. But in the southern state of Karnataka, India, those 4 words became a death sentence. Between 2003 and 2009, dozens of young women vanished. Their dreams of marriage ended not with wedding bells, but with cyanide burning through their veins. Behind it all was not a gangster, not a hardened criminal, but a quiet, polite schoolteacher. A man who came to be known by a name that still chills India to this day, Cyanide Mohan. It began in 2005. A young woman named Anita told her friends she was about to get married. She seemed happy, excited, ready to start a new life, but Anita never came home. Her family panicked, reporting her disappearance. The police shrugged it off. She probably ran away with her lover. Case closed. No search, no questions, no justice. And soon, another woman vanished. Then another. Each story sounded the same. A secret romance, whispers of marriage, then silence. Families begged for answers, but authorities dismissed them. It's their choice, the police said. Young women elope all the time, but something darker was unfolding. One by one, the women disappeared, always under the promise of marriage. Their bodies would later be found in dingy lodges or isolated restrooms, lifeless. With no signs of struggle, the deaths were written off as suicides. No one noticed the invisible thread linking them all. No one. Until years later. In 2009, yet another young woman vanished without a trace. This time, luck, or fate, intervened. The police, often criticized for ignoring such cases, finally decided to dig deeper. They traced the calls on her mobile phone, following a digital breadcrumb trail. Each number dialed, each location pinged, slowly closed in on a single name, Mohan Kumar. At first glance, it made no sense. This man didn't fit the profile of a predator. He was a former elementary school teacher a man once entrusted with, shaping young minds. Neighbors described him as polite, quiet, someone who always nodded a respectful greeting. He dressed neatly, spoke softly, and carried himself with the dignity of an educated man. If you asked the community about him, they might have said, Mohan, he's harmless, good man, a gentleman. And that's exactly what made him so dangerous, because beneath that mask of respectability, detectives were about to uncover a side of Mohan Kumar that no one could have imagined, a double life so chilling. It would forever stain his name with a single word, cyanide. Mohan's personal life was a wreck. Failed marriage had left him divorced, isolated, and bitter. He was a man eaten alive by resentment. Convinced that the world had denied him the happiness he deserved, but out of that bitterness grew something darker, craving not for love, but for control. He wanted to dominate, to hold someone's fate in his hands. And he found his victims among those least protected, young women who were poor, naive, or simply desperate to be loved. He studied them carefully. The shy girl who longed for a husband, the runaway who dreamed of starting fresh, the daughter whose parents were eager to marry her off. To each of them, he played a flawless role, the charming suitor. He was attentive, soft-spoken, the kind of man who remembered small details and made promises that felt sincere, courteous, romantic, convincing, and with time. Every woman heard the same sweet lie that he would marry her, give her a future, a family, a happy ending. They believed him, because how could they not? He looked respectable. He sounded trustworthy. He offered the very thing they had been waiting for their entire lives. But that promise was nothing more than bait. The wedding night he spoke of would never arrive. Instead, it led them into his carefully crafted trap, a ritual he perfected in hotel rooms and cheap lodges, where love turned into poison, and a kiss of death came in the form of a tiny pill. Once trust was secured, Mohan would invite the women to a cheap hotel for what he called a secret honeymoon ritual. There, he handed them a small pill, telling them it was a contraceptive to keep their first night together safe. But it wasn't. Medicine. It was cyanide, a fast-acting poison that sears the throat, collapses the lungs, and stops the heart within minutes. Imagine the scene. The young bride-to-be swallows the pill, smiling nervously, believing this is the first step to a new life. Minutes later, her body convulses. Her breaths turn to choking gasps. Vision blurs. And Mohan just sits there, calm, watching, until the body goes limp. He would then steal her jewelry and cash, leave the corpse behind, and disappear before dawn. The next morning, hotel staff would find her lifeless body, assume suicide, and quietly call the police. The cycle would repeat again and again, at least 32 times. How could a man commit so many murders without being caught? Part of the answer lies in his victims. These women often kept their secret romances hidden from their families, and he left behind nothing but a vague note or a text message to the outside world. It looked like heartbreak, like self-inflicted tragedy. The other reason was the system itself. Police dismissed cases. Investigations were lazy. No one connected the dots. For nearly 6 years, Mohan slipped through the cracks, leaving behind only grief and confusion. But in 2009, that final mobile phone trail exposed him. When police arrested Mohan Kumar, the truth unraveled like a nightmare. Interrogations revealed his cold, calculating nature. He confessed without remorse, describing how easily women trusted him. Witnesses said he even smiled as he explained his crimes. They believed me, and that was their last mistake. The courtroom shuddered as details emerged. He was convicted in 2013 and sentenced to death. The teacher, the suitor, the predator, all names stripped away. Only one remained: Cyanide Mohan. A proposal of marriage, something meant to bring joy, became a tool of murder for his victims. Love itself was the weapon that killed them. For society, his story remains a chilling reminder of how easily trust can be betrayed. And the question still lingers: how many more women would have fallen for his deadly promise if he hadn't been caught? Because somewhere in a hotel room at midnight, another young woman might have been hearing those same words, whispered softly, almost tenderly. I want to marry you? And maybe that's the true horror. Not the poison, not the lies, but how ordinary those words sounded. How safe they seemed. 3 simple words that every woman longs to hear, turned into the last words many of them ever did.